because obviously, like, for you guys who don't know, Plan C is like one of the best. I personally think he has the best analytics on Bitcoin in the world. Straight up, like I put that. I'm gonna mute you if I can mute you. I'm not. I'm not gonna let you like talk your way out of this. Like, I really think that you have some of the best analytics on Bitcoin and the larger kind of macro on BTC than anyone in the world, right? Like, obviously, you see, like, if you guys don't know, Plan C's meteoric rise on Twitter and stuff like that is pretty impressive, because people are watching you on, like, people stealth watch Plan C for his analytics and stuff. Like, they're watching. There's people watching out here, because Plan C's got some really cool stuff when it comes to Bitcoin and stuff. So I really respect and what you end up putting out there for that. But yeah. One thing I do really appreciate about Plan C is, like, he's willing to talk about other subjects, because one thing that I end up noticing from a lot of these other analytics guys is they just stay in their little bubble and they don't try to learn other markets. So if you're able to, like, Plan C might be able to look at a different market. Maybe he looks into Phantom and then figures out something that could help him look at Bitcoin a little bit differently. Could help him out. That's kind of like thinking out of the box.
Yeah, man. I mean, we met, like, it's funny looking back, because, we've both been in crypto around the same amount of time, right? And I'm not, like, a lot of people that are, subscribed to your channel and listen to your streams, they might not know, because they might have just came in, over the last year or so. But yeah, we first connected quite a few years ago. And yeah, we connected through the Celsius community. DC had a podcast. What was your podcast initially called? Oh, you got the drink. What was your podcast originally called? Because you
the Crypto Gamble. I think it was Crypto Gamble podcast, and then I switched it to my current name, Dollar Cost Crypto.
Oh, okay, so maybe it was. Yeah, I think it was Dollar Cost Crypto when I first. But yeah, I remember I was looking for Celsius content, because I was actually looking to earn yield on. Yeah. Like, I was actually comparing all the different options, like BlockFi, Crypto.com, Celsius, because all I wanted to do was earn yield on my EOS. At the time, it's so funny, man. EOS is still under $2. What a joke project, man! It's one of the biggest jokes. I've never hear anyone talk about it anymore. It's so funny.
It's dead. No, they basically they pulled off the greatest theft. I mean, Plan C is probably the most knowledgeable person when it comes to EOS. Like.
At one point,
tell them how these criminals stole all this money.
Yeah, I mean, you know the story too. Like, at one point, the thing is, like, I'm so glad that I'm focused on, like, analyzing the market cycles in Bitcoin, because, like, it's relevant to, like, yeah, my main interest in crypto right now is learning about the layer ones, because the layer ones is just absolutely fascinating. Like, there's going to be some huge winners in that space, but also, I mean, I'm mainly focused on, like, Bitcoin and the cycles, because I want to know, like, I want to basically consult with guys like yourself and figure out what I want to hold for the long term, like which projects are going to be here, like do some of my own research, of course, as well, and try to nail down like a reasonable portfolio where I'm holding, just ones that I know are going to do well. But then it's about getting in and out of the markets at the right time, but not like day trading or anything crazy, right? Like what I focus on is multi-year opportunities with the cycle, like these. And I'm actually working on creating like something called a market risk map, which I'm combining like a whole bunch of on-chain metrics, some TA metrics as well, but mostly on-chain, like 90% on-chain stuff, and having like a map so that it gives you like a risk level of when you're getting in and out, and telling you when to DCA in and out. Because to me, like, yeah, getting in the right projects, following your guys' content, taking the course and just doing your own research. But once you identify those projects, you got to know, when they're extremely overheated and when the cycle is extremely overheated, right? So that's my focus. But yeah, with us, I guess, like, I mean, we originally connected because I was looking to earn yield on my EOS, and so I found Celsius, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Okay, let me look into this project. So I started listening to all the content I could find. And you were one of the only ones doing a podcast at the time about the Cell token, about Celsius, because I found out they had a token, and BlockFi didn't have a token. I'm like, okay, they have a token, and the reason why, of course, I was interested in the token was because I wanted to earn extra yield on my EOS, right? It's so funny to think about now, but yeah, and then I was like, okay, this token's interesting. What's going on? And your podcast was like, oh wow! I'm like, I started listening to a few episodes, and I'm like, yeah, these guys are making a lot of sense of like the potential of this project. I mean, Cell token was like probably trading at like 10 cents or something crazy, right? At the time, it was like, I didn't get in like right away. Like I'm a little bit more conservative, so it took me maybe like a couple of weeks to actually buy the token. But I
You got in at a great price though. I remember because
I got in really good. I got in. I bought a couple points, but I bought most of it under around 16 cents or so, somewhere in that range. Like I got in really early, right?
I think we were really. I honestly, thinking back on it, like I think we were really close to bag size actually. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think we got in around the same time and probably bought about the same amount of it, right? So I went fairly heavy on it, but I still bought more CEL tokens, or sorry, more Bitcoin. So I actually sold. What I did is I sold all my EOS. I held EOS through the whole bear market. I was down like 80.
I got to give him a clap for that right there.
It's hard to cut your losses on bad projects. To realize it took me a while because I'd done so much research on EOS, and I'd fully bought into the narrative of EOS. And at the time, it might sound crazy to guys now, and they might think like, how could he have fallen for that? But trust me, EOS was a hyped project. It was up to number 6 at one point on CoinMarketCap. They promoted it so heavily. They raised $5 billion. People legitimately were talking about them as an ETH killer at the time. So there was, they just didn't deliver on anything that they said. And they talked about like airdrops. Like this was back then. Like guys, again, they don't know if they just got in the last few years, but airdrops were a massive thing. Like airdrops were such a big thing at the time. Like and EOS had this model where they were one of the first ones, I think, to talk about this, where if you held their native token, you would basically, every project that was building on EOS or on the ecosystem, you get an airdrop relative to how many tokens you had.
Right.
But these products are just all shit, right? So, but I was, getting my airdrops and selling. It was just like so ridiculous, right? But people were talking about like EOS was going to go to like $100 that year, and it was crazy, man. Like it didn't live up to any of the expectations. They did have one massive run where they went up to $17.
They went higher than that.
Or no, it's true. They went up to like 20, 23 or something like that. They went up like in the 20s.
$28 on Binance.
Okay, so they had a ridiculous pump at one point, and that's obviously when I should have got out. But yeah, I had like a cost base of $5. I eventually sold it for a 50% loss, but luckily I sold it.
Do we have the same cost basis? We have the same cost basis and everything. Dude. That's so crazy.
I bought into their ICO too. Like that's when I actually bought in their ICO and I bought it a couple different times after that. But I was heavy on EOS. Like I put a lot of money in. I was the only thing I held through the entire bear market. And then this is valuable, I think, to people because they can understand like the mindset of when you're in a bad project and you realize it, like how do you get out of it, right? And so, like I said, I'm glad I didn't sell when I was down 80% because it was down 60 to 80% for most of the bear market. It finally got back to 50% down, and I can't remember exactly like what the overall market was doing at the time, but I sold into just stables or something for a few weeks, and then I was waiting for an opportunity to get into Bitcoin and sell because the market was tanking, right? And so I think I got out of EOS at a time where it was up relative to the market. I'm like, I got to get out of this. I was in stables and I'm waiting, and then the COVID crash happens, and I'm like in the midst of researching CEL token. I can't remember it's 2 years ago exactly, but I was trying to get in as fast as possible. I knew it was an opportunity. Like I didn't just put all my stables into CEL and Bitcoin. I also ended up liquidating like every other money I had access to. Like I even like retirements, like other things. So basically got rid of all my retirement funds. Even took a penalty on that. In Canada, it's called RSP. So like I sold all that, took a penalty, dumped it all into Bitcoin and CEL during the COVID crash, and I haven't really sold any since. Just kind of held them, right? So I have a few other cryptos too, but yeah, it's just like it's amazing. Just because this is relevant to guys right now, I don't want to go on like a huge speech, but the guys right now, that are down in their positions, like I was